I hear from a lot of people who have already purchased a home in a 55 plus community. Now, one of the things that they say to me is, I wish we'd known, or I wish I'd known about such and such. There are a lot of things to know, and you can't know it all, but I want you to learn from other people's mistakes, and I feel bad for them, but we might as well discuss this to save you guys out in my YouTube family some of the trouble and a few heartaches that come along with some of these things. So let's get started. I've got 9 different things. Stay all the way to the end because the last one I think is going to apply to most of us. The first thing is there will always be an HOA. Some people love an HOA, some people hate an HOA. I have a love-hate with mine. I don't like when they get on me because I've got a giant tumbleweed in my yard from the latest storm. I was gonna get to that tumbleweed, trust me. I don't know why they have to send me a letter for that, but I digress. There will always be an HOA. That is good news because you always know that your neighborhood is going to be really nice. I think HOAs sometimes get a bad rap in that, they're super controlling and they're super expensive. In the 55 plus or active adult communities, an HOA is a must because there has to be a collective pool of money to maintain those beautiful entrances that you see, to take care of all of the amenities. It's not like they're paying somebody $150,000 a year to drive around and yell at us because we have a tumbleweed in our yard. No, somebody has to pay for the new roof on the pool or the remodel of the clubhouse. Those are important things. So if you are an absolute hate an HOA person, you're probably not going to like an active adult community. But if you love good amenities, I think you're going to enjoy it. So please be aware there will always be an HOA. There's no way around it. Now, number 2, this is a big one for a lot of people because they do everything at once. They retire and then the next day they move to a new place where they don't know anybody and they might feel a little bit unhappy at first. What I have found is that happiness is a choice. We all know that, and our mothers told us that growing up. But somehow, some people forget that you have to choose to be happy and you have to choose your happiness when you move into a 55 plus community. Those active people already in the neighborhood are not going to magically knock on your door and say, hey, you're new here. Do you want to come to pickleball? No, you have to take the step to get involved and learn to be happy. Some of that is just going to be a normal adjustment because you used to be somebody in your old life. Maybe you had a powerful job. Maybe you had a busy job. Maybe you've left lifelong friends and family behind. Now you're going to have to think in a different way and choose to be happy. So keep that in mind if you actually do purchase in a 55 plus community. And then about 30 days in, once everything's unpacked, you realize, holy cow, I don't like this. I'm depressed. I don't want to be here. I just want my old life back. Sometimes I recommend go back to your old town after you've been here a few months and you'll realize how great it is in our Arizona 55 plus communities, all that's going on, and that nostalgic feeling you get for wherever you came from might be different when you view it from a lens that has had a little bit of distance from that subject. But keep in mind, again, happiness is a choice. Now, number 3 is a shocker to some people and it's a joy to other people, I think. But I want you to know that drinking culture can be very prevalent in these communities. In some communities, it almost feels like a bunch of freshmen who have gone away to college and they're away from their parents. In this case, we're all away from our kids, maybe away from those parents we've been taking care of. It's a sense of freedom, and I think some people take that thought a little too seriously, and over drinking might be an issue. So if you are adamantly against alcohol and you can't integrate into that culture, it might be a problem for you. However, I will say that not everybody drinks. I usually kind of ask people when I work with them, are you guys drinkers? Usually, so I know if they might enjoy a bottle of wine or something, or if they want to meet me for a happy hour. But I would say over 50% say, no, we're not drinkers. Now, it is interesting to me that they choose a different kind of neighborhood than other people would choose. They're more into outdoor activities and less about the neighborhood social things. So if you're not a drinker, let me know. There's no judgment. I've pretty much gotten rid of all of my alcohol tendencies. I have maybe one drink per month because I'd just rather eat my calories than drink them. But you might enjoy a different kind of neighborhood if alcohol isn't your thing. And again, it's not totally crazy, but you are gonna see it. You're gonna see those people that play golf all day and then they drink all night and then they go home to a party in the cul-de-sac. That is going on in some neighborhoods, but not on every corner, not every cul-de-sac. Just know that it's out there and it's something that we need to be thinking about if that's important to you. Number 4, I want you to be aware that just because you're paying an HOA fee, not everything is included in that fee. If you're paying $250 to $300 a month, that generally does not mean that you get to golf all day, every day for free. You're still going to pay greens fees, or you're going to purchase a golf punch card or a membership, depending on the neighborhood. But things like if you take a ceramics class, you're going to pay for materials. Things with an instructor, there might be a small fee. I know in my neighborhood they charge a little bit for yoga. Minimal fee and well worth it. But some people get a little pissy when they find out that everything isn't included in their HOA fee. Come on, guys. They can't possibly include everything. And how is that fair if you are super into pickleball, but I am not? I don't want to pay for your pickleball. I'll pay for your courts corporately in my HOA, but I don't have time to play pickleball yet. So if you're at Pebble Creek, you're going to pay just over $600 a year for your pickleball club. Well worth it for those of you who really love pickleball. Keep that in mind when you're laying out your monthly budget. Allow a little bit of extra money for activities in the community. Some things don't require any fee, but other things do. So just keep a little cushion there in case you're going to need it. Now, number 5, this is big for many of us, men and women really. That is that downsizing can be a challenge. I work with people that say, oh my gosh, we have all this stuff. We are going to need a 3,000 square foot home because we're coming from 4,000 square feet. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. You need to start downsizing now. If you're coming next year, or if you're about to get ready to build a home, start downsizing. There's no need to spend money to move all that old junk. You don't need your child's artwork from the 3rd grade. Take a picture of it. You can put it into a photo book for a small fee. There are websites that do that. And that's much thinner than carrying a big Rubbermaid bin full of kids' artwork. So think clearly about what you'll need in your new life and what you don't. A lot of people choose to sell everything. I did. I sold my house in Colorado furnished before I moved down here, and I still brought too much stuff. So if you want tips, be sure to reach out to me and I'll tell you kind of how to do it and how not to do it. Don't do what I did. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I didn't take it far enough. It is really a challenge, and our spaces are different here. We don't have basements. Keep all of that in the back of your mind when you're planning your move to a 55+ neighborhood. You don't want to invest so heavily in the house. You want to invest in the right neighborhood that has the amount of fun things that you're looking for. Now, number 6 and number 7 kind of go hand in hand, but they contrast each other. The first thing is you're going to have a lot of visitors. So some of you who think, oh, we can get away with 2 bedrooms, we don't need an extra room for an office. If you still work from home, you're probably going to want a dedicated office as well as a guest bedroom, so a total of 2 bedrooms and an office. You're going to get lots and lots of people coming to visit. You've got family, you've got friends. Maybe your elderly parents are still living and they want to come for a visit. You will have visitors when you live in a beautiful place like Arizona or anywhere in the country for that matter that you're thinking of moving. If you're from a cold climate, everybody wants to get out of there. You're gonna see people come out of the woodwork you haven't heard from in years. They'll send you a Facebook message or a text. Hey, how are you doing? Hey, we were thinking of coming for a visit. It's going to be your choice whether you say, here's a list of hotels, or, hey, we have a guest room, stay with us, this will be fun. I do have friends, though, that have had to call a halt because their extra room or casita has been a revolving door of kind of freeloaders expecting, and one friend in particular, they're expecting her to cook for them, 3 meals a day. And that's just not fun if you live here. So figure out what your boundaries will be. It's great to have guests, but maybe you're like me, and my rule is 1 roll of toilet paper in that casita. When it runs out, I'm not real excited about it replacing it, and that's kind of the clue that, okay, you've been here long enough, it's time to go. So it's great to have guests again, but remember, set your boundaries. Now, number 7, this might be painful for some of you, and I do work with people that this is a primary thing, and usually for the wife, sometimes for the husband too. But I want you to know your kids are not going to be visiting as much as you think. You don't need 3 extra bedrooms for your kids. There are ways that we can make this work, maybe with a Murphy bed in your office, plus a 2nd bedroom, then you get a blow-up mattress for the grandkids or something. But don't think that you need this gigantic house because all your kids are coming all the time and every holiday. What I find is as grandkids get older, they don't want to come to Arizona to visit. They really want to be in their own home. So maybe you go back to where you came from, stay in a nice hotel, show up Christmas morning, and then have a little mini break instead of having a house full of people. Have your kids and grandkids come other times of the year, but I think you'll find as they get older, they're going to be coming less and less. And that's just something we have to deal with. Anybody who has been a recent empty nester knows that that is hard, but it's just a fact. There's nothing we can do about it. And if we really look at this with some introspect, if our kids are independent, hey, we did a good job. They graduated onto life and we graduated onto our next chapter. So keep that in mind so you're not super disappointed when you buy a home with all this space and a pool in the backyard because you have to have it for the grandkids. Guess what? They're coming 5 or 6 days a year. I would not put a pool in just for those grandkids to use. Trust me, you will be disappointed. Now, number 8, this is a little bit hard for a lot of people. They plan for this amazing new lifestyle in their 55 plus community, and generally they get it. But what they don't plan for is that things happen. And when you're talking about a couple or a single person, you're just riding along in your life and one day you get a cancer diagnosis. One day an accident happens and you lose your spouse or partner, or they have a long-term illness. It seems kind of morbid to say, okay, what's my plan in case I get sick or my spouse gets sick or passes away? But I think this is something to discuss with your partner, your spouse, with your family members. What is your plan in case something happens? If you get really sick and your kids are far away, who's going to drive you to chemo every 3 weeks? I did have cancer 5 years ago, and I was lucky to have family right in the same town that helped take care of me. My sister, bless her heart, flew down here for every chemo treatment. She was a real trooper and a huge asset to me during that time. And I had no plan. My plan was to go to Thursday night trivia. It was not to get a cancer diagnosis. So please, please have an action plan. I hope you never ever need it. And let everybody know, including yourself in the back of your mind, what that plan is. So you're not totally lost and just kind of hanging out there if something happens. And I know it's not a fun thing to think of, but it's the responsible thing to think of. And your emotional self will thank you if you've got that plan. Now, number 9, the last thing, and I think this is a big thing that people don't think about. They magically feel like the community is going to be their entire life. It isn't, and it shouldn't be. You need to have a life outside of your community. Maybe you're somebody that has been previously active in a church. Maybe you've been active in music, or you get season tickets to the symphony. Those kind of things, you're going to want to leave the gates of your neighborhood. I see people who start to get a little bit cranky with the neighborhood, and they start blaming and this place is terrible, that kind of thing. It's because they never do anything outside of the neighborhood. It is super important to your happiness and well-being. We're not dead yet. Just because we turn 55 or move into these neighborhoods at age 64 doesn't mean we can't leave. We're still doing things. We're traveling, we're hiking, we're biking, we're golfing. That's a big thing. People feel like they have to buy a community for some kind of perfect golf course. Hey, guess what? Arizona and Scottsdale, Phoenix area is the land of golf courses. Maybe you don't want to commit to the one at your neighborhood. Maybe you want to try a different course every week. You can do that here. So keep in mind that the neighborhood is not the end all be all. It is a big part of your life, and you want a nice home, you want a nice community. But I think you'll be happier and healthier, much more satisfied if you build a bigger life outside of the community. Super, super important. So these are just a few things that people really wish they'd known. These are the things nobody really talks about. But if you'd like to talk about which communities might suit you, or if you'd like more information, please give me a call, a text, reach out by email. Let's have a conversation by phone, or of course, you guys know I always prefer a Zoom so I can get to know you face to face. But let's talk about your needs. Let's talk about what's making you want to move. I don't care if you're 3 or 4 years off. Let's start talking now so you can make a strategic plan for this upcoming life change. I'm always available, and I love hearing from you guys. The number is below on the screen, and I can't wait to hear from you soon.